Welcome to the Revere Veterans Community Show. Today we have a real special guest. His name is Patrick Keefe. He's a football coach at Revere's Pop Warner and a baseball coach at St. Mary's in Revere. Welcome, Patrick.
Thanks for having me on, Morris.
Okay, could you please talk about your baseball and football?
I'm a coach with the Revere Junior Patriots, and I'm started up with the F squad. So now this year we'll be moving up to the E squad, and that's the children usually between 7 and 9. But I also am one of the board members down the league, so we help to make a lot of decisions, but also make sure all of the programs are running the way that they should be. And as you may have heard with some of the recent cheerleading the last few years, we've had some really successful programs.
That's fantastic. What about the St. Mary's? Are they?
Yeah, St. Mary's are also known now as Revere Youth Baseball and Softball. I've been coaching there now. Will be my 6th year. I started off with my daughter Adriana as a T-ball coach, and then my son Patrick a few years after joined the team. So I was able to coach the Colts for many years, for 5 years in T-ball, and now I've moved my way up into the minors. And my son is on the White Sox, as well as my daughter she plays in the softball for the major leagues. But Revere, St. Mary's or Revere Youth Baseball, it's a great organization. There's tons of kids and tons of families down there that, and during the summer, when you head down the field at night, they have a lot of games under the lights in the St. Mary's field.
Oh, that's the field down by down on Winthrop Avenue?
No, it's the field over it's behind St. Mary's Church.
Oh.
It's a great field, and you can drive down there on a Friday night at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and there'll be some games under the lights. It's fantastic. There's just it's a huge crowd. It's almost like you're sitting at a mini Fenway Park where you just have all these parents and the children playing. So it's a good time in the community.
Because you get the family together.
Yeah,
right.
It's excellent.
Excellent. Another question I would like to ask you. Oh, by the way, I noticed you also work at Legal Seafood.
Yes.
And you're a chef there.
Yes, I am.
Tell us, without naming any prices, what the items that they have there, so the people out there would know.
Well, it's a New England-based seafood restaurant.
The location, where's it located?
Oh, there's many. It was 33 locations in up and down the Northeast.
33?
33 restaurants.
Wow.
Yeah. We've grown. The company has grown a lot since it's over 60 years. The company's continued to grow, starting with its first restaurant in Inman Square, and the president of the company, Roger Berkowitz. The restaurant was started by his father, George. Who is a veteran, as a matter of fact. It's a great company to work for. I've been there now 12 years, and
that's pretty good.
So I'm one of the chefs in the Boston region, and you know the menu's fantastic, but it really stands by the true New England seafood tradition, where we have things like lobster rolls and clam chowder. But then as we get more creative and you see some of the different foods out there, we're able to make different additions based on what the guests really want and what the chefs are willing to put out there that you're going to get some people like yourself to come and enjoy. So
we'd love to. Can you give us a location that's very close to Revere?
Sure. Well,
a couple of them. Anyway.
We have a couple in each direction. So right up in Peabody, we have one at the North Shore Mall.
Oh, that's something new.
Good location. And then we have one that I would say right a little closer. It's just as close maybe going into Boston, right at Long Wharf, right by the aquarium. So it's right on the Long Wharf, and if you took a quick trek right over the Tobin Bridge, you'd kind of come into that Long Wharf area.
And all the fish that's caught comes from New England waters?
Almost all of the fish is locally sourced. We work with all sorts of dayboat fishermen, and we work with fishermen from the Gloucester area down to the New Bedford area and the Boston area. Of course, there are some species that are going to come from the Gulf Coast, and there's some species that are going to come from the West Coast. But a majority of the seafood is coming right out of the New England waters, and that's something we pride ourselves in.
That's excellent. By the way, you mentioned before your son Patrick plays baseball.
He does. He plays baseball and football.
Talk about your family. We'd love to hear that.
I think the show would have to go a little longer, but
that's all right.
Both my kids are active. Both my children, my wife Jennifer, and I have two beautiful children, and they're both active in the community when it comes to the sports, as well as they both go to the AC Whelan School. One's in 1st grade, and my daughter Adriana is in 4th grade. Very proud of the
Excuse me for interrupting.
Sure.
You talk about the Whelan School. We were up there February the 25th. 5 or 6 of us from
That's my birthday.
The 20th. Well, yeah. That's when we were up there, and we were entertaining the kids. you know, they were asking us about the wars and about how it was like when we were young, and it was excellent. And there was a teacher there, I believe her name was Janelle.
Okay.
And she was sort of kind of coordinating the things for us. So Janelle, if you're out there listening, we had a wonderful time.
Well, I got to tell you, my son Patrick is really interested in history. He actually says he wants to be a president when he grows up. And just recently, we took him to the Boston down into Charlestown. We took him by the ships over in Charlestown, the old Ironside, and we took him into Charlestown, and we walked up the Bunker Hill Monument.
Yep, I used to work right up there by the Charlestown High School.
It's a great area, and it's great because we have such great history right very close to the city of Revere and in Revere.
That's fantastic.
So both kids very
I got to tell you, Pat, talking about history, we had a gentleman up here. His name was Jeff Perlman, and he did a thing at this past Saturday at Romney Marsh.
That's right.
And he gave us a terrific history lesson, and I believe you were there too.
Yeah, the Romney Marsh, you know, a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of people don't know about the history of Romney Marsh, but you're right in your own backyard, and we have things that we can discover right in Revere. So it's great that was brought to light. I mean, I know it's been brought to light for a few years, but it was great that they had that unveiling over there.
I know that, and Jeff Perlman gave us a good history lesson, what it was called, Romney Marsh, Chelsea, not Revere before we got his name. So he was excellent at giving us a good history on that. The thing is, the next thing I'd like to say, I'm a senior, and I think a few weeks ago you were at the Senior Center, and I want to thank you for coming to visit us, old folks.
Once again, thanks for having me. Going down the Senior Center is really nice. It was great because we had a little bit of an Easter celebration, and having lunch with the seniors and getting to meet a lot of the folks in the community was really important. So my wife and I were there, and we were able to, we had some flowers, which was really nice, but it was great to have some lunch and get to meet everyone. And I have to say that Morris is a great DJ, and he did a good job.
The second best DJ.
The second best DJ in Revere.
Right.
And who's the first?
All the others.
All the others.
You like that little joke?
That's your joke.
No, that's our joke. But I got to ask you, what did the seniors talk to you when you came over to them? I'm just curious.
Well, you know, there's a lot of the seniors, you know, were introducing themselves to me, and they were asking, you know, one of the reasons why I was there. And not only just being there to talk to some of the seniors, but there is a little bit of an agenda, and it was talking about I'm planning on running for school committee. As a matter of fact, I am running. I'm running for school committee. So talking to a lot of the seniors about what their needs and wants were, and it was very exciting because they first question they asked me was, "Do you have kids?" And of course I do. I have two kids, and
their names are Patrick,
Adriana and Patrick. Yep. And the second question was, "Do your kids go to Revere schools?" And I said, "Of course they do." So that question definitely surprised me because if you're running for school committee, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands is I'm doing it for all of the kids in Revere and all of the teachers and all of the faculty members, but I'm doing it for the reason that I have two kids in the school system, and I want to make sure that, you know, they're getting the very best, as well as we're constantly evaluating year after year, day after day of things that we can enhance with the school department. And when it comes to the changes of being a parent now versus being a parent 10 years ago or being a parent 20 years ago. And all of this, Revere school system is excellent. I'm very proud of the education my kids get.
Not only is it excellent, but our superintendent, Paul Dakin, was voted as number one superintendent in the Commonwealth.
A huge accomplishment, and Mr. Dakin has brought so many great programs to the city of Revere.
I know that.
And that's really what I'd like to do. I'd like to help with the leadership of Mr. Dakin and the mayor of Revere, and help guide that from a parent's perspective with, like I mentioned, two kids that go to the elementary schools right now.
That's fantastic. That's excellent. By the way, you also participate in the Walk to School program, which... Could you explain that? I never heard that myself before, and a lot of people don't either.
That's a newer program in the city. It's been going on for a few years. There's some great people that help run that. Julie DeMara, she's a great parent as well. Our kids play baseball together. Our kids also go to school together, and she's a mother of four. And we recognize that there's some kids that, you know, they get driven to school every day, which, you know, I understand in the New England winters and things like that. That's important. It's hard to walk. It's hard to walk that far when you have all the snow and everything. But as soon as the weather breaks, or even sometimes just slightly before, there's a Revere Walk to School program, part of the Safe Walks to School, and we we organize in different areas of the city and walk to the prospective schools. Once I saw that happening about last year, I jumped right in. I am a little bit of a fitness person, and I do run. So I've run in different marathons or half marathons.
Excuse me for interrupting you. You were talking about the marathon. You know what happened yesterday? There was an explosion.
Of course.
And you said you were there in the morning, I believe?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, obviously, what happened at the Boston Marathon was horrible, and what you can't have it do is take you down. So I was there. I was there in the morning. I run on Mondays, and I have run in the prior marathon, and I've run in different half marathons, as well as I have a lot of friends that have run in this marathon. But yesterday morning was a typical run day for me. So my running group likes to run over the finish line as a little bit of significance that we're in Boston. I wasn't hitting it at mile 26.2. I was hitting it at about mile 7.5, and then ran back to our base. But yeah, it was terrible, and I just hope that people in the city of Boston, the state of Massachusetts, and the country take this opportunity to reflect on the safeties of what we sometimes take for granted, and make sure that we realize that you can never really take a day for granted. So part of that is, like I mentioned, going into the health aspect of walking the kids to school. I appreciate the running from me because it keeps me healthy. It keeps me in shape. I like to eat. I'm a chef. So if I run, I can eat the foods I really enjoy. But walking the kids to school, I recognize that my son probably has the same exact genes as me. So if he's walking to school, he's going to be able to benefit in getting that health out there, as well as all the other children. So it's a great program, and it's grown over the last few years. And I'm excited because the spring's springing, and more kids will be walking. Right now, the group that I walk with has probably about 30 children. And I would say within the next month, it's going to probably have at least 50 children walking to school.
I'd like to ask you a question, Pat. Being a chef, if you can give a little secret away, if you can't, don't. Doing lobster, tell people when they make a lobster, if they want to make a real flavorful, what they do, because I have no idea.
Okay. Well, some of the secrets of lobster is simplicity. It's such a beautiful species where it tastes great just the way it is. So steaming it or boiling it in some seawater are the two best ways to cook it.
Oh, seawater?
So yeah, a lot of people like to use seawater, and we live in Revere, so guess what?
Got the ocean.
It's right down there.
Right.
If you don't have seawater, if you don't want to go down and get
Salt,
dirty, a little heavily salted water. You can boil your lobster, get the water to a rolling boil, and put the lobster in. It's going to take about, I'd say a 1.5 pound lobster, it's going to take about 12 minutes. Just pop it in there, and then when you take it out, drain some of the extra water, crack the shell like you like, and just some melted butter. Just melt the butter right on the stovetop or in the microwave, and dip the lobster like that. That is the best way to enjoy lobster.
Any more good ideas you'd like to tell our folks over here?
Oh, I have too many secrets.
Couple more.
I would
no
say
secrets.
I would say the biggest secret I have when it comes to cooking is go with the flavors you really enjoy. Don't be afraid to be a little robust. But keep it simple too. Use local ingredients. Use the seasonal ingredients. Those are going to be the best ingredients to use because they're going to be the most flavorful. Talking about ingredients, we have a Revere community garden that I'm actually a plot member of.
Right, that was going to be my next question. Go right ahead.
Well, the Revere Community Gardens, this is another program that just started about a year ago. I was one of the inaugural plot members, along with many other. Actually, Dr. Dakin is also part of the Revere Community Gardens. It's held on the Revere High School grounds, and we were able to take some of that area and make some dirt plots and grow some vegetables. And I was definitely not the best. I was probably number 2 and behind the line of everyone else.
I'm not going to ask you who was number 1.
But there was some great people that had some great plots there, and the amounts of vegetables that they were able to grow. So talking about cooking is using those fresh vegetables because they're at the peak of their season, they're growing locally, and you're bringing them right home. You're not using lots of different pesticides, and you're not getting it, it's not traveling 3,000 miles across the country. It's coming right from your backyard. Now, understandably, you do have to get different ingredients from all over the world at times, but
right.
If you can get it around the corner, it's better off.
Where do some of your ingredients come from? Can you give us different countries if they do come from?
Well, you know, when it comes to the cooking at the restaurant, we do have a variety of ingredients from all over the world. But when it comes to our produce, we have specifications with all of our local produce vendors that we get. Whenever it's seasonal, it comes from the local area. So if it's squash season, butternut squash, you know, there's so many farms right in Massachusetts that you get the best butternut squash. So why would we go outside of that? Corn and things like that, the same thing. So we get a lot of our ingredients locally. Tomatoes as well, believe it or not, have a really pretty good season in Massachusetts.
I got to tell you, talking about the schools, because that's where the schools help them, I'm Superintendent Mr. Dakin, they have a junior ROTC. We have the Vietnam War coming here on June 13, 14, 15, and 16, coming to the Beachmont VFW at 150 Bennington Street. And the kids from the school, the ROTC, they help us in every way they can. The kids from the Whelan School, they help us every way they can. And the kids from the Garfield School, which is the high school, no, the junior high school, they help us in every way they can. There isn't a school in Revere that does not help the community. And that's thanks to the teachers and the superintendent and people like you, volunteers that do all this work.
Thank you.
And, no, I mean, that's the people of Revere. But beside all that, I'd like to know your future plans before I ask you a couple of more things.
Well, to go back on the junior ROTC, I have to say, I think this is their second year.
I think so. I'm not sure, but I think so.
And it's unbelievable, the amount of members that they have and the professionalism of the students. I'm very proud of the ROTC program. That
yeah, but before you continue, there's two people we got to thank. And that's Major Bowker, who's in charge of the ROTC. I think you know her.
Yep.
And Sergeant Major Callender. And they get the kids together. We had them up here a few months ago, and they did a beautiful job.
They're doing a fantastic job, and I hope that the program's going just as well, because I see my son seeing these children and these students, and in 8 or 10 years when he gets to that level, he would definitely be a member. He will definitely be joining the ROTC. He's ecstatic, and it's like I said, I'm very proud to see that. And as far as what the future holds, you know, I love Revere. I really do. I'm
from New York, Pat. I'm from New York, and I love Revere. I wouldn't trade the worst part of Revere for the best part of New York, and I hope they all heard me say that.
I would agree. I would agree 100%. My wife Jennifer and I, we have a home, and we live on Kilburn Street. Once again, like I mentioned, 2 children, and we're so proud of the schools that they go to, and we're so proud of the organizations that they're involved with in the city. So we're all in. We love it, and so my future is to try and continue to work in obviously around here. I work for Legal Seafoods. I hope to stick around there for a very long period of time. But when I'm not working, is continuing to be in Revere, commit myself to things like hopefully the school committee. If elected, continue to work with the programs down Revere Youth Baseball and Softball, continue to work with the Revere Pop Warner, continue to do the programs of the Revere Walks to School, continue to do things like the healthy fitness with the Revere programs. There's so much going on in the city. I think that the mayor's done a fantastic job getting the city into a position where we're just going to have some great expansion.
All you have to do is just walk down Broadway, and you can see the improvements right there in front of your eyes. The new poles going up, the new police station, the new fire station, new schools. I mean, there was a gentleman by the name at the Romney Marsh, I believe his name was Wolfgang, and he was making a speech about the slaves and the Abraham Lincoln. But the one thing he said that I liked was that he said of all the communities that he goes to all over the Commonwealth, we are the best when it comes to serving the community, our people. And I've heard that from people from Chelsea, from Everett, from Saugus, and from around the state.
There's some great pride, and that's you know, whatever I can do to continue to serve in this city, that's what I'm going to do. And there's some, because I have immense pride in the city that we live in.
So do I. So do I. What else would you like to talk about? I'll throw the book at you now.
Throw the book at me. You know, I would say that, you know, just we're getting into the spring and getting into the summer months. I'm looking forward to. I first started running when it coming back to the fitness.
Oh, excuse me, Pat. What made you decide to run for the school committee?
Oh, running for school committee. Yeah. Talking about the involvement with my kids, the reason I really truly want to run is I've met so many great parents over the many years now living in Revere, and having 2 young children, I look at it and say there's an investment. My children are going to be in the school system for the next 10 to 11 years. So like many things that we do, why not have an input on the education they're going to get? Because over the next 10 to 11 years, it's the most impressionable years of their lives, and to get them readied, and not just them, but all of their fellow students that they go to school with, to get them ready for the secondary educations, to get them ready for the real world. If I can help with that, if I can use some of my real world experiences. I work for a company that has real world experiences,
right.
And it's a business. It's also a restaurant. It's also a home for many people. And if I can take some of those experiences from whether it was athletics when I went to high school, whether it's being a father or being a husband or being a chef, if I can take some of that and help be another ingredient in the Revere School Committee, then I'd love to offer my my advice and my support with the school committee in Revere.
I got to tell you, when I look at Revere, I really see America here. I really do, because we have a diversification of people in here. We have people from Arab countries, people from Italy, people from China, people from Spain, people from South America, people from Mexico, people all over the world, and that's what makes our country great. And they come in here, they get a good education, and some of them become great American statesmen. And I'd like you to name a few that you know.
Well, we know so many, but you talk about living in Revere, and we have some wonderful different cultures in the city. Like you said, from every nationality.
Yeah, I see America right in front of me when I walk out.
When you go down Broadway, you can see the restaurants like the Good Diner, and you can see some of the businesses there.
The gentleman that owns the Good Diner, I met him. He's a heck of a nice man. Comes from Egypt.
He's from Egypt, and
right.
And you would go in there, and you're going to have a traditional American breakfast, and not realize that. But he serves up a really good cup of coffee, and I enjoy some coffee over there. And then you go back down towards the square, and you see Volare, where you have some Italian Americans.
Right.
And then you go down the street, and you see some other different restaurants.
Right next door to our bank, right downstairs on the left as you walk out the front on Broadway. There's a gentleman there who has also from Egypt. His name is Samir Salem.
Yeah, Samir.
Yeah, and he has all the antiques. We're going to have him on our show, and he's going to talk about the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Ramesses the Great, give a history of Egypt. So it's good. We're learning from all over.
It's a great, diverse community, and that's another big part of public schools, where I really appreciate, because I went to public schools, and I assume, Morris, you went to a public school?
Yep, I went to public school, high school, and college.
And I got a fantastic education, but I also got those real-world experiences of going to school with a group of diverse people, and when you come out, and I went to college, and I traveled, and I've gone to the other states and in other countries, and meeting people from all over the world. The experiences that you get in high school or junior high school or elementary school, when you're able to go to school with a group of different people, you're able to interact with them a lot differently. You're able to open yourselves up a little bit more and open your mind to different people, and that's important. And it's so important these days. And so not to jump to judgments of who people are and where they come from. It's really, we're all the same. And and that's what I want my kids to really take out of a public education. So they're going to stay in Revere schools for the next 10 to 11 years.
That's what I like about Revere. We're all Americans, and we're all helping Americans.
Absolutely.
And that is the most fantastic thing that I can think of out there.
Once again, there's such great pride in the city.
So before we have a few more minutes left, you
All
take
right.
over.
Well, like I was going into, and this is running when it comes to the actual physical fitness part
Don't
of it.
look at me for that. I can't even stand
Well,
up.
I'll tell you what. I started. One of the reasons I began running was I wanted to use it to lose some weight, like most people exercise.
You look in perfect shape.
Well, no, there's no such thing as perfect shape, but but thank you. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to sweat a little bit. So the first place I started to run was Revere Beach. and it's a great run. So running up and down the boardwalk is fantastic. So I would say over the next, now that the weather is really starting to break, over the next 3 to 6 months, I hope to see some people out there on the beach, and there's already tons, whether it's walking their dogs or walking with their families or running, because I intend on being down there as many weekend mornings as possible and doing some running and walking with different friends in the community and different families. And so Morris, if you go down there and you decide that you want to do walking instead of running, I'd love to do a little bit of walking with you. So
I'll take you up on that.
All right, I'd love to. And there's great conversations that can be had, but also what could be more calming than walking up and down a beach when you're seeing the tide and you're seeing the different activities going on.
Right. It's funny because when I first came to Revere many years ago, there used to be Sandy's Ride on the beach. They used to have the cyclone, everything. Then I used to take my kids down. Now I got to take my great grandkids. I got to take them to Showcase Cinema, where they have the Carnival there, to have the rides there. Yeah. And we miss that. At least I miss it. I thought it was a good place for the kids to go when they were small, and I hope someday.
Are you a roller coaster person?
Not now. I used to be when I was young. Now I probably get seasick.
I think the roller coasters would be a little bit much for me, but I know my kids have much more of a stomach than me when it comes to roller coasters. As a matter of fact, with the Junior Patriots, we were fortunate enough that the kids made it all the way to Disney this year. And 3 of the teams competed for nationals. 1 came in first, 1 came in second, and another team came in third in the nationals, which was a huge accomplishment. So being down in Disney, I was watching all the kids go on the rides, and I just did a lot of walking with my bag, and I was the bag holder as they all jumped on these huge rides.
I'll tell you, we have seniors, including myself. We go around and we do things for the community. Putting up posters, doing stuff. We do the walking because I can't run anymore, but I don't realize I'm walking because I just do what I'm doing, and my mind isn't on my walking. Mm-hmm. To me, it's exercise, really, which is a good exercise, by the way.
It's a fantastic exercise.
I know. By the way, we have about 3 minutes left. I'm going to let you wrap up for a couple of minutes, and then just give me 1 minute to close it.
Okay. Well, once again, I'm Patrick Keefe, and I'm a proud citizen and community member of this great city. So, there's some fantastic things happening in the city, and as far as it goes for me, I'd hope that you would consider me for a school committee representative in the upcoming elections in November. And thank you very much for having me on the show, Morris.
Right, and Patrick, before we close, I want to say God bless you, and I hope you have the best success. God bless the people of Revere, our troops, the United States of America, and thank you folks out there for listening. Until we meet again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Morris.